Welcome, everybody, to this Paytrace ISV Spotlight. My name is Sam Johnson. I'll be your host today. And with me are our special guests from IIT. We've got Joe Leibovich and Chris Horde. Welcome, guys. Well, I'm going to start off with a little bit of housekeeping for those of you that might be newer to these webinars. ISV Spotlights are your insight into Paytrace's partnerships with different integrations and how this can lead into your success by taking advantage and leveraging some of the tools that they have to offer to take care and land some pretty large merchants. We're going to spend some time talking about our integration partner. We're going to talk about their solutions. We're going to take a look at a quick demo and really focus on where this can impact you, who's going to be the best fits for this, and some resources that you can take advantage of. Typically, these will go for about 30 to 45 minutes. If you are watching the live stream of this right now, we will have this available on our YouTube channel following as well. So without further ado, our guest today is Innovative Integration Technology. They do a really great solution into a few Microsoft Dynamics offers as well as Acumatica. So I'm not an expert into this, so to take it away, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Joe Leibovich. Joe, if you want to do an introduction into your group.
Absolutely. So thank you, Sam. I appreciate the intro. I'm going to just start by putting the PowerPoint on here. So we can start here. Okay. So appreciate everybody getting on today. We have been working with Paytrace team for over 12 years now. Our focus has always been in payment solutions, integrations into different ERPs. And today we're excited about being able to open up 4 of these into the Microsoft Dynamics GP, BC 365 BC, and 365 F&O. So we'll be talking about those. As mentioned, we've been working with Paytrace as a partner for over 12 years regarding payment solutions, initially on the payment processing side. And as we built these integrations, Paytrace had requested being able to open this up to the ISO channel. So we created IIT as a true separation, as the ability for the ISO channel, for really any kind of partner of Paytrace to be able to onboard this with the knowledge and security of knowing that they can work through this and still maintain all their payment processing relationships. So it's a really important part of this is being able to look at this as a means of expanding the customer base utilizing the solution, but being able to also open up the ability for you guys to bring on clients using these ERPs. Let me jump right into who is IIT. So I am the director. I head up a lot of the different integrations with our ISV developers. Chris is actually with the ISV development team. So just to kind of realign those things, he is with the Blue Moon team, who is our ISV developer into those softwares. Justine heads up a lot of the initial conversations you'll be having with our team. Myself and Curtis will be running through a lot of the demonstrations or resources. Also on the ISV developer team is Amy, who is my counterpart. She will also work as a director of the channel side as far as looking at or scheduling the demos with your clients, going into some of the details. Sometimes it's a very out-of-the-box solution. Sometimes there's a little bit more required with ERP. So you'll gain that benefit of really expertise of over 30 years development into ERPs and with this team. So we're excited to open this up to you guys and show you really the solution. So going into a little bit about what we've already discussed, we are going to be reviewing 4 systems today. Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, known as GP, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, also known as 365 BC, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, also known as F&O, and Acumatica. Obviously all integrated with PayTrace and all of its resources with credit card processing, ACH, as well as we're going to be running through the customer, it's actually Invoice portal. So obviously the ability for your customers, for your clients' customers to be able to go on and make payments. So we're excited about rolling this out to you guys. It's one of those things that is really customizable, and we're seeing a lot of different clients using ERPs have a need for this product.
Do you mind if I hop in really quick, Joe? This, in my experience, I've been with PayTrace now for about 6 years, and over the years, I think Microsoft Dynamics is one of the more common requests I get with regards to ERPs, and previously we've never really had solutions, and the market really hasn't had a lot of good solutions for some of these ERP solutions. So I just wanted to ask our audience here today, and I'm going to launch a quick poll, in the last 12 months or however long you want to determine this, have you lost deals because of not having some of these ERP integrations, right? Like Microsoft Dynamics or like Acumatica. So I'm just curious. It looks like, as I've got this poll running up here, looks like a majority of folks have lost about 1 to 5 deals. Some have lost a lot of deals over time. Right. So I think this data here shows us that there's definitely a market need for this. And I'm excited now that when you have these opportunities coming up, team, that you do have a partner in PayTrace and in IIT to be able to tackle some of these. So thank you. And I forgot to mention this early on, but team, if you do have questions, comments, emotional outbursts, please open up the Q&A panel. Myself, Joe, Chris, also Kevin Hurd is on this call. We want to make sure that we address any questions that you guys have. Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Sorry to interrupt there.
No, I appreciate it. I think that was great feedback. So again, why IIT? Obviously, these are, I think, highly utilized ERPs. They're common in the marketplace. They're utilized by a lot of business-to-business clients. And I really believe that what we're putting out to you guys today is the best solution into these ERPs. They're truly embedded solutions. There's not a widget that somebody's going outside their system. If they're working in Microsoft Dynamics, GP or 365, BC or F&O, they're in it. They're still processing payments in it, and it's very native into the system. So you'll be seeing that in these demos that we run through with you. And really, we've also created enhancements. Having the experience in the payment side, we've created automation in order to simplify some of the AR functions. And what we're referring to here is we have a lot of different businesses that have authorizations and capture. We have businesses that do the shipping. And so the amounts change. All those functionalities have been thought of to ensure, when it does get over the 72 hours, when the threshold does pass 15%, we've created automation to still mitigate additional costs to your clients. So a lot of additional tools that are already embedded into these solutions to ensure, since we can create all these automations, let's make it as good as it can be. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get to the good stuff. I'm going to hand this over to Chris, and Chris is going to show you guys the integrations into these systems and really demonstrate that embedded solution that we were just talking about.
Thanks, everybody.
And by the way, before I want to give Chris a proper introduction. Chris is the distribution consultant over at Blue Moon and also a senior software engineer. So he's coming with a lot of expertise, and I think he's a guy who knows these products.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Let me just share my screen here. Okay. So before I get going, this is Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains for anyone that has seen it or have any information. I just want to give a little overview of our solution and what separates us from a lot of different solutions that may be out there if you looked at some of them. So everything I'm going to show you today, whether that's Microsoft Dynamics Great Plains, Business Central, Acumatica, our solution is fully embedded. So it will look and feel like it's native to that ERP system, and it's not going to have some button that brings you to an external portal to do extra steps. So the users that work in these systems have the ability to do everything within their normal operations within the ERP system, and that really brings that comfort level to a lot of the end users. In addition to that, as Joe mentioned, I'm not going to go into too many of them here today because we're really going to do a basic demo, but we do continue to bring feature sets to this, that automatic 72-hour pre-auth refresh, user-based security, so that way your managers or your higher end users really can only be the ones to say do returns and voids as opposed to doing some of your sales and your captures. Abilities that if credit cards ever fail, moving them to a failed batch or a hold, or even some features around allowing pre-auth automatically for greater than a certain amount, or a gateway fee. So a lot of these things we really have built into a lot of these native systems. So we're bringing a rich feature set more than just your traditional pre-auth and capture and processing of those funds. So with that being said, we're going to kind of dive into the basic solution set here today, and we're just going to kind of go through and do some basic pre-authorization and captures of our transactions. Just to keep in mind, this solution is fully capable on the cash receipt side if you don't get your transactions on order entry. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but we also work with a lot of e-commerce and how your orders are coming in from external sources to bring them into the system so you can do voids and returns at a later time. So with that being said, I just created a very basic sales order here with one line item, and you'll notice that our window by either setup options can automatically populate. It can also be navigated to by an additional window. We offer some options here to just maybe check a card, make sure it's a valid card, or we can simply do a pre-authorization directly on a transaction. Within our solution, you do have the ability right within a transaction to go ahead and run a new credit card as an example. In this particular case, I do have a default credit card on file for this customer. So you have the ability within our solution to pick a customer default as well as an address default. So, maybe it's some of your big box retailers, but for individual address locations, they have different cards they want to use. That is fully supported within our solution. So just kind of offering you some sets. So I'm just going to pick the customer default that was already here on file, and I'm simply going to hit process. You'll see that automatically returned here with that green check mark. If there was ever an issue, you visibility right away have a red X here, letting you know that there are any types of issues. As Joe mentioned previously, our product does also fully support automatic capturing for greater than what the pre-auth is. And a common thing that I see for this is freight, right? So you take a pre-authorization for this order, and then you go ahead and add a freight on this transaction, ends up being $810 instead of the pre-auth $709.90. Then based on our setup options, when this order either becomes an invoice, we'll automatically capture those funds, or at the posting of an invoice. So once again, fully controlled by a lot of the setup options. So for today, I have it at transfer. So you'll notice here as I hit transfer, a little processing card came up. You'll notice now in our window that we captured for the $810.60. So fully that ability to automatically capture based on those funds. We do offer the ability to kind of print any receipts as needed. We do also offer some setup options for automated emailing of receipts. So in case you do want to set up that automation to your customers, that as captures or things happen, they automatically get that receipt fully built into the functionality as well. That's the basic pre-auth and capture. From a Great Plains perspective, I do want to touch base that once again, it does work from the cash receipt side. It does work for returns, whether you're doing a SOP return or a payables return. So really the flexibility all within the ERP, completely using that same window of the customer default and the customer cards to allow you to feel like everything is part of the native solution.
Chris, do you mind if I just emphasize a bit there? I just heard the word native, and we've heard the words embedded being used earlier. And I just really want to emphasize, because I'm not super familiar with the interface of Microsoft Dynamics GP. I've never seen these softwares before. Right. If we had a current user of Microsoft GP on here right now, and they saw that demo, it's essentially the software that they're using, right? It doesn't look like a third party.
Exactly. We actually pride ourselves on following all the same exact standards of the different ERP system we work in. So you don't even know if you're using the true ERP or our window. So it's supposed to feel like it's part of it with a seamless transition for any end user.
Nice. I love that, because a lot of the times I hear with other partners that are out there, other integrations that I've heard with different gateways, is that, right, merchants get frustrated when they're not using their native technology. They're using something that looks and feels different, and it can disrupt their practices. So that's one thing that I really appreciate about this demo, Chris.
Exactly. Yeah. And to kind of go along with that, because our product has that embedded knowledge, that means we have to know about the ERPs we're working with, right? Which is also another thing that isn't as common out there in the industry. So, when they're working with Great Plains or Business Central or Acumatica or F&O, we're on board to help them implement this solution. And when we're on board to help them implement, we kind of get that knowledge set as well of, asking them or helping them throughout the process. So kind of that added bonus there as well. So with that being said, I'm going to now transition over to Dynamics 365 Business Central for those of you that are interested. We're going to just do the same exact process here. Just want to reiterate that all of those options, kind of continue to carry over. We're continuing to grow our feature set in all of these. So same thing, user-based security, automatically capturing for greater than the amount, all those types of features, rolling that out into a new ERP, following the standards of the ERP and leveraging functionality within it. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new sales order here, and should be able to pull up a customer. We'll sell a bicycle today. And you'll notice directly, this is a standard sales order within Business Central, but you'll notice if I scroll to the bottom that we have actually added an entire subsection here for our electronic payments. So once again, directly within the transaction, if you do invoices, you don't have to do this pre-auth and capture process that we currently have been doing. You can do a direct capture of those funds. But if you do follow that pre-authorization capture, you obviously get the benefit of adding shipping charges and everything like that at a later time. So now that I've basically created this basic sales order, you'll see the total is 4,240 here. I have the ability to directly go to actions, and I can pick credit card or ACH. So all of our solutions based on your needs do support both electronic payment credit cards as well as ACH. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a credit card here. Once again, our window will pop open. I do have a customer default card once selected. I do have the ability to pick from different cards within the customer wallet or do new card directly on the fly. In this case, I'm just going to kind of leave the default card here for the 4,240 and hit process. So you'll notice once again that pre-authorization directly went in here, let us know it's approved. For any reason it was not approved, once again, you would get that immediate message here, invalid CVV code, invalid zip code, all those fun things where sometimes you typed it wrong. You do have the ability to come right back in and run it again, if maybe you just entered it wrong. If for any reason, you needed to, there is options to void a pre-auth. Say you accidentally ran a card on a wrong transaction. I've seen it happen. Crazier things have happened. You do have the ability to void right away, or always print that electronic payment receipt directly from within the solution. For today's purpose, we'll just go ahead and we're going to process this. Oh, sorry, I'm going to post this, and we'll just do a ship and invoice. This solution is set on that invoice creation to go ahead and do the capture of those funds. So you'll notice that our transaction was successfully captured. So you have that ability here. Once again, maybe we'll print the receipt this time. You do have the ability to set up automatic emailing of receipts as well. And you have the ability to then use standard BC functionality to save this, attach it to an email, directly email it to your customers, or modify this report using standard built-in BC report modifying functions. So touching base on it, just kind of reiterating, as I kind of go through here, this process is fully supported within the cash receipt process and all of these ERPs as well, based on how you get your payment terms. And you'll see that it always has the same look and feel. So we want our product to be as easy for the end users as possible. We don't want, hey, when I do it in this window, it's different than when I do it in this process. It's always the same thing. So same exact thing, actions, credit card, ACH. So same exact reiterated process, just in different places depending on how you take your payments. So just want to show once again, it's fully embedded, fully here within the solution, really just trying to bring full circle and as easy as possible for the end users. To touch base on kind of that e-commerce stuff as well, we've done a ton of integrations and we work with many different people on different kind of bringing in the payments from, their web store or anything like that. Once those payments get in the system, in a perfect world, the end users have nothing to do, because as you see, we automatically capture those pre-authorizations during some of this transfer and posting process based on some setups. So in an ideal world, unless they need to come in to do a refund or a void or something like that, it's a seamless, streamlined transaction from the website all the way through the ERP. So just wanted to touch base on that as well. All right, so we're going to kind of continue to move on here, and we're going to touch base on Acumatica.
Before Chris,
yeah,
before we get into that, I had one question that's been lingering.
Sure.
Right, I hear that there's GP, Finance and Operations, and Business Central. Previously, I've always heard Microsoft Dynamics be referred to as NAV and AX. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, of course. So Microsoft, as part of its ERP systems, went to two major ones in what they call their 365 market. So NAV has now moved to Business Central. So moving forward, I think it's past like a 2018 version. NAV is now 365 Business Central. And AX, in a similar term of that, is 365 Finance and Operations. And you did bring up a good point. I wanted to touch base on Finance and Operations as well. Unfortunately, our demo environment was getting some IT service, so I was not able to get my F&O environment, but it is the same exact process as kind of BC and GP, and as you're going to see with Acumatica, fully embedded once again into the transactions, leveraging a lot of that built-in core functionality of the ERP.
Perfect. So just to reiterate to the audience, if you do run across merchants that say that they have Microsoft Dynamics, NAV, or AX, we have a solution. It's just not called NAV or AX anymore. Now it's Business Central and Finance and Operations. So just keep that in mind.
Exactly.
One thing I'll just jump in on is on the F&O side, just the look and feel. A lot of those upgrades look very much like Business Central. So it's I have had a chance to review it and go through it a couple times. So just for those who have that curiosity, it's going to look very similar to what that Business Central looked like. That setup is very similar to that one as opposed to the GP.
Yep, exactly. All right. So with that said, kind of following through the same process here, we're going to kind of go ahead and do a sales order directly within the Acumatica ERP system. And I apologize, this environment's been working at a little bit of a snail pace, so hopefully we can get there. And so some Legos. And you'll notice my order total here for $330. My scrolling window's got itself a little small on me. $330. So once again, if I save this Acumatica, we do leverage the built-in payments functionality. So I can directly come in here and create a payment directly on the transaction. And these are built-in Acumatica payment methods. Some people like to organize them by Visa, MasterCard. You get to pick which ones are used in the electronic payment software. In this case, I'm going to pick a Visa talk here. You have the option to always, once again, do a new card or ACH transaction or leverage the cards that are on file for a particular customer. You'll notice that our processing center that we have set up throughout this product is Paytrace. And I can simply come in here and either authorize the transaction to continue down that pre-authorization or capture step, or you can do a capture. So in this case, just because kind of keeping through the flow here, we'll go ahead and authorize this transaction. Should execute here in a second. All right, so you'll see that it is pre-authorized. You'll also see that you have the ability, once again, to void, print the receipt if you need directly here within Acumatica. And at this point, we also added features into this product that didn't previously exist as well to automatically capture these funds on the invoice preparation. So I'm just going to simply go ahead and I'm going to quick process this transaction in Acumatica. Move slow enough. We can't do any slow processes. So we gotta work with what we got. You'll notice behind the scenes as it's going, that invoice is getting prepped. So it automatically went ahead and captured those funds. That invoice in the AR invoice was created. Now that invoice is fully captured and the funds have now been applied against this transaction and nothing is owed. So that is the basic transaction in Acumatica. Once again, you can go back and print this receipt. You can fully do this from the payments and applications process. It's called cash receipts in other applications. It's called payments and applications, within Acumatica. And same exact process, fully embedded, fully offering the built-in Acumatica functionality to go ahead and pick your payment method while on the transaction, and obviously do new card or ACH as needed throughout any of these transactions. So you'll see this one, I already kind of came in here and captured it. So the ability to pick it directly within your transactions, we really increased the functionality into Acumatica to really leverage receipts, allowing to pre-auth for greater than an amount. That doesn't exist within this ERP system. So before, you actually had to go run a whole nother pre-auth on the card, or you had to go run another sale for that difference amount if that's a situation you run into. So just kind of that automatic capability, emailing receipts and all that kind of goes a long way. So that is the basics of Acumatica. So gonna kind of hand it back to Joe here for a second. The next big thing we really kind of want to touch base on in our overall integration process is customer invoice portal. So maybe hand that to you, Joe, kind of open it up a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris, and great job with the demos and the systems. I hope everybody who may have not seen the workings or inner workings of an ERP get a better idea as to just how much this touches of an organization. So just being able to work all within that system makes all the difference in the world. And just one of the things I wanted to reiterate that Chris had spoken about earlier, the front end and just the out of the box solution is what you're seeing, but there is a lot of different customizations that are sometimes required from different clients. So that's part of the workings here, is understanding all the different client needs and making sure we tie it all together. But yeah, this next product is one that we saw a huge request in the market for, which is the customer invoice portal. More often than not, clients want to automate their receivables. So if they can have the customer go in, all their invoices, make those payments by card, by ACH, have all those cards stored in a vault, and again, still accessible so they can pay those invoices, see which payments that they've made. It's a really great resource, and it from the business's side, it helps eliminate a lot of time, extra efforts, things like that. So without any further ado, let me pass it back to Chris. And before I actually pass it back, I want to just talk about Microsoft Dynamics. All three of those systems do have the integration into this. It is being completed for Acumatica. So the CIP product, as it's shortened, is going to be ready by the end of June, maybe sooner, but that's what we're tracking for. So Chris, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Joe. So Joe hit the nail on the head. This customer invoice portal experience is available across the several ERP systems that we've talked about today. Acumatica, we're wrapping up, getting that ready for certification over the course of the next month here, because we do certify our products all with either Microsoft, in the Dynamics channel, or Acumatica in the Acumatica space, to make sure we follow all appropriate processes and procedures. So what I'm going to show you here is we're going to create some invoices. We're going to export those out to the portal, and then I'm going to show you both sides of that. So what your customers would see, that you would be getting those invoices, and then what you get to see from your portal side, if you ever needed to log on and you were curious about some of that functionality. and then bringing that payment back into the ERP. So the only thing that is ERP specific is both the sending of the process as well as bringing the payment back in, but the portal side is generic, I guess you could say, across all the different ERP systems. I do want to say for today's demo purposes, I'm just going to quickly create 2 invoices that we're going to send, so that way we can send more than one. And for demo purposes as well, it's always easy for me to do it as a manual process. Everything that I'm showing you is fully automated, both on the sending of the invoices to your customers based on a time interval, or can be manually done. So depending on how you want to do it, it's either you can pick when and what goes, or you can set it on a time interval, and it's based on, say, customer configurations, right? Because not all of your customers may be portal customers. So you do have that configuration. In addition to that, you do have the ability to pick emails, right? So you can pick contacts or emails directly within your ERP system, or you can designate emails at the customer setup tier in any of these ERPs, because maybe you want it to go to a specific accounting email that's not in the ERP today. So you do have a bunch of abilities with that. So since I'm doing this as a manual process, I'm just going to go to our batch export process here, because I built a batch of 2 transactions, and I'm going to export. And it's going to export out here. And now that that's done, I'm going to pull open I'll just post this batch real quick, sorry. I'll pull open my email and kind of show you what I got. So I'm set up as both what would be the merchant, or the person selling the goods, and the customer in this case, to really show you. So I got 2 emails. These are all you can turn these on, turn them off. It really is up to you guys. And they're also fully configurable. So in this case, this would go out to my customer, letting to view your invoice, it's from Blue Moon, kind of what it is. This text is fully customizable. The logos are customizable, whatever, you guys want. And then your own accounting team also gets an email if you choose, right? So now you know that, this invoice went out to this person for this amount. So you kind of have that check and balance. So since I sent 2, I obviously got 2 customer emails as well as 2 admin. So now I have the ability to simply come in here and I can view that invoice. All the people on my sidebar here are blocking my pay now button. Okay, there we go. So now you'll see that I directly came in here. You'll see that I have that 500 proc for a quantity 1, or maybe in certain cases, they want to pay multiple invoices. So the 2 that I just sent were this 4.6 and 4.7 here. So maybe I want to come in here and select multiple invoices to pay off. Or you can pay a single one. So if I hit pay now, you'll notice that it automatically populates the full amount here. That can be a less amount if that's what they're going to pay that day. But today we're going to kind of fully apply these. You then have the ability to pick how you're going to pay. So that's credit card, or maybe a bank transfer that maybe you're offering as a discount, to save on some of the fees. So we'll go ahead and pick credit card. Within this portal, there is the ability for customers to automatically store the card that they used previously, or they can always enter a new card. I happen to have that same Visa test credit card that we've been using with today, so I'm going to kind of use it, but they do have the ability to do a new card, and I'll simply hit pay now. Take a second here. All right, so you'll see that the payment, when it was, what the number of that payment is, the reference, the amount, and obviously that it's complete, and what invoices that affects. So now within this customer portal, if they come back to invoices, you'll see that those now reflect as paid. If for any reason they were curious about when they made payments, they have the ability to see this. I will say you do have the ability to turn off this kind of full portal ability if they don't want their customers to have access. If they simply just want that pay now link to a single invoice, that is fully customizable as well. So keep in mind, everything I'm showing you really does have the ability to get customized down to another tier, or tailored really to the end users to the best of their ability. So now that I made these payments, there is another set of invoices that go out. So you'll see one that goes back to the customer. Once again, customizable if you don't want invoices to go back out, but one thanking them for their payment, and one coming back to you, letting you know that this client made a payment, and what invoices those apply against. So if I go back to the ERP system here for a second, in this case, we are going to bring in the payment. Once again, I'm doing it manual. This can be fully turned on, so that way it never you never have to actually manually bring in those payments. But since we're manually doing it, I'm going to simply hit our payment import. It brought in our one payment that was on. If obviously there was customers making payments all day, hopefully you have more than that. And what it does is it creates a batch of transactions or payment. In this case, depending on the ERP system, this is either a cash receipt, this is a payment in applications. So any process to go ahead and take that. So if I go ahead and open up that payment, you'll see it created a batch ID in this system that's to today's date. So you know when those payments got taken in. You'll see it's for that 1549 with the comment of the reference of the portal. So that we fully have that checks and balance. And if I look at what transactions it's applied against, you'll see that it is fully applied against both of those transactions that I sent to the portal. So now when I post this payment within the system, it's going to relieve the amount that is owed against those, and the transaction is fully completed at that point. So that's it from kind of the demo side of things today. Like I said, a lot of that is fully customizable. It can be at the customer tier. We can even send the reports from the system as a PDF attachment to those invoices that go out to the customer. So really, it has the ability to make it look and feel as seamless or as far or as little as you want to your customers. So with that, I think I'll kind of send it back to Joe here.
Thank you, Chris. Great job. I think that was really was a great presentation. I think we were able to run through all the systems. I hope everybody got a chance to get a good understanding as to how these solutions work into these 4 systems. I want to go into next steps. So in engaging with IIT, we have a questionnaire for each one of these systems just to make sure we get the proper details. We'll schedule a demo. We can run through some of those demos, or we'll sometimes engage the ISV developer team if we see that there's going to be a need for more customizations. Then there's a review with the completed agreement. On there, we'll provide the pricing right after the demo. And there's a bar sheet, assuming that the client's coming on board, that you would provide to us as we take on the gateway relationship. So typically you guys are acting as the reseller on the gateway. In this instance, IIT takes on that. So all the costs that are associated with the gateway are all going to be in what we provide to you. And those costs do change. There's differences in each one of these systems as to the type of clients, as to just different requirements from the systems themselves. Some of them look at users, some of them look at industry types or size of the organization. So we'll make sure that we'll provide you the review post submitting the questionnaire. In addition to that, there's a transactional fee and a level 3 enhancement cost. So that is just a specific cost that we'll provide to you, and everything is outlined so your clients are aware of it. Post the onboarding of a client, there is the electronic payment portal training, the connectivity and testing. Most of your clients that are working within ERPs work through a sandbox before going live on a product like this. So that's what you're seeing on the connectivity test, and then the kickoff. Now, also with the CIP, which is the customer invoice portal, we do a lot of the customer invoices that they may need branded or customized so it fits their current invoice needs. So our team will work with yourselves and your clients to make sure that gets kicked off properly, and also that's set up. So those were the items we really wanted to touch on. I'm sure there's a lot of questions out there, so also wanted to leave this out here. There's 2 means of obviously reaching out to us. You can reach out to us directly, or the developer support at paytrace.com is the other place that you can reach out and get your questions answered. And we'll look forward to schedule these demos and run through this with yourselves, your clients, and hopefully providing more enhanced solutions. So with that, let me pass it back to you, Sam, and see if there were questions out there.
Cool. I'm going to start off with a question from myself. So Sam asks, Joe, if you could break down the top, maybe like the top 3 value propositions for a merchant using this solution, what would that be?
So one, obviously, we're leveraging Paytrace's level 2, level 3 enhancements. So that's obviously a key component here. I think the other items is being able to tie into these ERPs in a very embedded native way, being able to maintain those relationships. And then I think the other one is just the out of the box, the things that clients need, whether they're tying into e-commerce, there's just something different about how they process, being able to have the developers on hand into these systems that really develop, they are the development team. So they're certified developers into the software. So you're really dealing with the teams that work in the software every day. So that, I can't really emphasize that enough. That's a really important point as to why this is a big difference.
And I'd even just add to that, I've heard the word automation thrown out probably 5 or 6 times on this call. Just the ability that this has to streamline a lot of these accounts receivables and these invoices, and not having to piecemeal out 3 or 4 different solutions with a gateway and a software and an accounting platform and all this other stuff, I think really creates a lot of operational efficiency and a lot of actual cost savings, not only on top of the level 3 benefit. Now, Joe, you just mentioned, right, software developers, you've got a great team that you work with. I have a very specific question asking for Acumatica. Do you have an Acumatica master developer here domestically that you work with?
Yeah, we have certified Acumatica developers on staff. So yes.
Okay, perfect.
I went through the badge and got the certifications and all that. Yeah.
That rocks. And I also got pinged from Kevin during this. He put quotation marks saying, "These are Microsoft Gold certified partner ISV software solutions." I don't know what that means, but it sounds really cool. Can you maybe elaborate on what that means?
It basically means that we fully go through all the Microsoft certifications to make sure that we follow all the protocols. It actually has to go to Microsoft. They go through your code to make sure you follow all the standard practices. So really, by going that extra step to make sure you get certified by Microsoft, it makes sure that you're fully compatible and that they are backing your solution as well, from the sense of it being certified and working within the application. So
perfect. That's awesome. It's good when you have Microsoft's backing. You get the thumbs up from them. A couple questions. There's some very specific ones in here that I think we'll take offline. But one that popped up and I kind of perked up at this was, Chris, when you're going through the demo and the invoicing, you mentioned a bank account, pay by bank account. There is a 3% cash discount on that. Maybe Joe, can you elaborate? Is cash discounting through this supported with those?
Yeah, there are options that, obviously in the demo environment, that's an option. You can enable it, you can disable it. Obviously, there's a lot that's about notifications to end users and end customers. But yes, that tool set is available. So if a client wanted to, discount for ACH, that ability exists in the system.
Awesome. I think that's a really cool feature. There's a question here that, I could probably answer this one, but I'll throw it over to you regarding virtual and ghost cards, right? Virtual cards are pretty popular in business to business, also known as one-time auth use cards. I've never seen this being flagged specifically, but the question is there any way to identify whether or not a card is a virtual card or a real, like a physical card?
Virtual versus physical, that I'm not familiar with, but obviously your gateway identifies in Paytrace itself the level 3 enhancement part of it. But yeah, as to the physical versus one-time use, not that I know of.
Michael, I don't think there's a way to distinguish the differences between those. And really, I think this falls back to whether or not you want to store it. Usually you can just ask, the merchant can ask the customer, right, if they want to store that card or reuse it. So good question. It's one I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, and those are all again, those are those one-off options that again, When we're reviewing with a client, if there is a huge amount of those on a monthly basis, not storing those is going to be an important function. So that's obviously part of understanding all that on the front end.
Yeah, and we've had customers that their business practice is they don't want to store any cards within a wallet. It's even though it's fully PCI compliant, it's fully encrypted. We just keep the token. They don't want it. And there is that option fully as well. You can turn it off at the company level of don't store credit cards, and it simply will never store them. So the option is there.
Sounds like there's a lot of customization built in, which I
Yes.
think is appreciated by both our partners and by the merchants. Question here from my buddy Kenneth. Ken's here asking, what is annual sales volume of the companies to introduce this to? Maybe Joe, if you can elaborate maybe on what's a typical merchant profile look like for this?
I wouldn't go based on any sales. I would base it more on if they're working in those softwares, I think you can broach that conversation. More often than not, clients that are using software systems like this have paid thousands, if not tens of thousands, in some instances, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So automation is paramount. And that's why working within that automation that they've just invested in is paramount. So I don't think that there's a volume per se. It's more about solutions. They bought a solution in order to automate and enhance their business processes. That's really what this is, a further step into the payment side of that.
Exactly. Well said. We're getting a lot of questions, so bear with me. I'm trying to read and ask questions at the exact same time, which is easier said than done. Some of these are very specific, so we'll follow those offline. Chris and Rod specifically, I'm reading them, but we'll tackle those at another time. I think we'll leave it at that. I'll distribute any unanswered questions to the rest of the team. But I do have a question for our audience on here. Chris just did an awesome demo. I'm actually really impressed by this demo.
Thank you.
I just want to call it out. I think you do a really good job of speaking from it technically, but also as a sales solution standpoint. Really impressed with that. We've got a lot of people on here that it sounds like there's some interest. You might have some opportunity today. So I've launched a poll. Basically, do you have an opportunity today that you want to get connected with IIT and PayTrace? So if you do, go ahead and answer absolutely. If not, that's cool. You have this in your back pocket for when you do come across that. Also, Joe mentioned it. If you want to get a hold of us directly, please reach out to PayTrace at developersupport@paytrace.com. Again, that'll get you connected with our ISV team, and we can point you in the right direction for IIT. So again, that's developersupport@paytrace.com. All right, I'm going to close out this poll, and I just want to do a special shout out and thanks to Joe, Chris. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate the value that this is bringing to our merchants. Like you said, you've been doing this for a while, and we actually have some really good success stories so far. So looking forward to bringing on some more of those.
Appreciate you guys opening up the channel, and I think this could be a great solution for all who have that need.
Awesome. All right, team, audience, thank you guys so much. We'll see you out here on the next webinar, and check out our YouTube channel for more ISV solutions. Take care.